Welcome to conversation number 14. My guest today is Lorin Krenn. Lorin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here, my brother.
Yeah, I'm very excited. You, very much like other people, I located you on Instagram and social media, but you specifically attracted to me to your page because of your intensity. And you're very passionate about what you do, and I knew immediately after watching just a few of your videos that you had posted that I had to have you on here.
Thank you so much, my brother. I think life is all about having passion and really developing an intense life. Because for me, it's all about, I call myself a warrior, a spiritual warrior. I call myself a poet. I call myself a creator, an artist. I think there are so many ways you can go about life, but if your life is not intense, if your life doesn't offer you anything that you can grab and really live intensely, then there is no meaning, in my opinion. Yeah. I want to live a meaningful life.
Yes.
And yes, to live intensely means that you might hurt some people. You might piss some people off. Mm-hmm. You're bold in your actions. You're taking inspired action, and you're unapologetically yourself.
Yeah,
and
I agree. Yeah,
exactly.
You just have to. You're right. You have to live for yourself, and sometimes you are going to upset people along the way. I know a lot of times that I feel as if maybe I'm at work, or I'm just doing my job, or I'm correcting people, or I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, and people just don't. Or they simply just don't understand like why my mind or my brain would even think this way, and why I'm saying the things I'm saying or doing the things I'm doing. But I know exactly what my goals are and what my path is in life, and I know what it takes to get there. At least I'm trying my hardest to do that. And sometimes that's why I say what I say and I do what I do. And people, because they're not in my head, they don't know what my path is, that they don't understand why I'm doing those things.
Yes, and I think that's a very important topic, because especially the topic about working hard. I hear it all the time, work hard, work hard, work hard. But if you don't work smart, if you don't take inspired action and really do something you're passionate about, then there's exactly the thing that's missing what you see in me, this intensity, this passion. Because everybody can work hard. I mean, Everybody can do it. But can you work smart, or do you have the ability? I always call this to ground myself. Do you have the ability, the skill to ground yourself before you go into action mode?
And what do you mean by ground yourself? To like maybe make sure your foundation is built correctly and make sure you're like headed on the right path, or make sure, what do you mean?
Exactly. Make sure that you're on the right path.
Yeah.
And there are so many ways to ground yourself. You can do strength training. I'm a functional strength coach. You can meditate, you can go in nature and read a book under the sun. But there are some ways how you can make sure you're not grounded. For example, to compare yourself on Instagram, to spend a lot of time online just consuming random content, not intentionally. And that's what I mean by being grounded. You're self-centered, you are calm, you are doing what you love, you are sure of yourself.
Yeah.
And if you take ungrounded action, in my opinion, it leads to more chaos, because the underlying intention behind all of it is fear.
Yeah. Fear is a huge factor, but it sounds like you're just really talking about aligning yourself, Yeah. Just being okay with, who you are, finding yourself, whether it's, you said fitness, or whether it's meditation, reading a book, just calming yourself, aligning yourself, figuring out what it is that you truly want. And then after you find all that stuff out, just start moving and keep moving and be passionate about that.
Exactly. And that's the most difficult thing. It's not the hard work, because you can distract yourself easily. You can work hard. Everybody needs to develop some kind of discipline. But to align yourself with your purpose, to know, okay, am I taking the right steps to move closer to my vision today? Or am I simply wasting my time trying to control things which I am not in control of?
Yeah, that's a huge issue. A lot of times, I know I've talked about stress on this show, and I've talked about stress in individual videos, where I believe that a lot of times there is going to be stress in your life that you simply can't control, and you have to take that in stride. but a lot of times there is a lot of stress that is self-induced, like stress that we cause ourselves because we're trying to go down the path of more resistance because we're trying to make a better life for ourselves. So that's good stress, in my opinion. Like stress that, you know, it's like I said, self-induced, but it's those occasions, like you said, that there's a lot of times in life where you simply can't control what happened. You know, you can't control that you got stuck in traffic. You can't control that you didn't get the job. You can't control. Well, I take that back. Sometimes, you know, more than likely you have control of the job, but maybe there's a lot of other factors that you don't have control of that are have to do with that. So you just have to be able to, and I think from experience and practice, kind of realize what kind of stress you have in your life and which of those ones you have control of, you know, which of those ones you have direct impact of, and vice versa.
Yes. And I mean, I completely agree with you. There's a kind of stress that comes with taking the leap of faith to launch your business, to launch your first ebook. And I mean, you're going to get stressed out the first time, because I don't know anybody who starts something like something we do. And it's like, yeah, I'm so grounded. This is the way to go. And I have no idea, but it's going to work out. I mean, this takes time.
It takes
you
so
have
much
to develop
time.
Patience. And you need mentors, coaches, patience. It just needs time. I mean, time is an illusion, but you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Time is definitely an illusion in the sense of, you know, it's different for everybody, and but it's still so important because we can't get it back, right? So it's still very important. But like you said, a very good point to what you said was that it's not just one thing. It's not just meditating. It's not just figuring out what path you're on. It's not just having one mentor and then the mentor is going to do everything for you. It's having all of these things, and it's having the patience, because like you said again, you didn't just wake up and you were this person I see before me right now. You didn't, and I'm sure, and I'd like to ask you about that. I'd like to get into that. Like, how did you evolve into this person? Because it's an evolution. It's not like you woke up, and maybe sometimes it happens earlier for some people and it happens later in life for some people. But I would hope, and again, the reason especially I'm having this conversation with you today is to spark that fire within people, to find that passion within them. But like I said, I want to reiterate that it takes all of these things. Try to find a good mentor. Try to find what path you're on. Try to find a path that you're on that you're passionate about, because then you're more than willing, or you'll be very willing to work hard at it. And then find something that maybe helps you meditate, whatever that is, to relax, time for yourself, to get your mind in the game a little bit more, if you will. Calm yourself down and think about everything that we're talking about right here.
The thing is, you develop passion for crisis. I mean, that's a contradiction in some way for some people right now. People think, like you just said, I haven't been that passionate. I didn't wake up and I was a passionate man who inspires people and who coaches people in meditation and fitness. Passion comes through crisis, and we grow the most. I refer to these times as going into the deserts. Sometimes when you go into the desert, you're alone and you can just follow the rising sun. There is nothing else. You have to develop this incredible trust and just follow the rising sun. But here comes the problem. Sometimes sandstorms hit you and you can't see the sun anymore. And now it's up to you, if you're strong enough, if you can get your mind in the right place, to trust and keep going, to have that patience that the sun will be back there, that you will see it again, that it will be visible again.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And what I also like to say is that when you experience a crisis, there are two things happening. Number one is a part of you gets self-destroyed, gets distracted. A part of you needs to die because you experience a crisis. It means you developed some pattern, some routine, some mindset that led you directly into chaos or into a miserable life. And now it's important, this part needs to die. And on the other side, there is the rising sun. That's the new patterns, the new mindset, the new you, the new version of yourself.
Yeah, break it down to build it back up stronger. Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
And it's all about perspective now. Because I can choose, do I look at the chaos, how everything is burning, like a burning city, or do I look at the rising sun and say, okay, there are parts of me dying, it's really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. but I'm still going, I'm still looking for the rising sun, I'm still seeking the solution instead of putting all my time in focusing and looking and dwelling about the problem.
No, you couldn't be more right. You could not be more right. It takes adversity, it takes challenges, it takes things, going through experiences and things in your life that you don't think you can get through, making things difficult or difficult times that you've had to go through to build yourself up stronger. And it's going to be extremely difficult going through those times. I will say without a fact that there were certain evolutions or things in my life that I experienced that made me the man I am today. And if I wouldn't have had experienced them, even though at the time when I went through them, they were extremely difficult, I never thought I'd get through. I couldn't see, the sun in your metaphor. I could not see the sun on the other end. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And at the time, it was extremely difficult. But I know ultimately I had faith in myself to just keep pressing, keep pushing forward. And I was aligned, luckily, to a little bit, so I kind of knew which direction to go to. And I just told myself there was no other option but just to continue going forward, because I wouldn't accept long-term failure. I knew that I would accept, or I would see maybe failure along the way, a little bit here, a little bit there, but then that's okay. Then you adjust, and then you just keep on pushing, towards the long term. And I think a lot of people, and again, I always say I want to say that this is my opinion, but people that aren't used to facing a lot of resistance in their life get very scared easily when they meet just a little bit of resistance and they don't know how to push past it. I mean, you're a fitness and health coach. You can think of when people are in the gym and they're working out, they may not ever see results because they haven't really pushed themselves to where they're pushing past results. It's like, again, like you're lifting with or without a spotter. I mean, a spotter can help you mentally. If you're not trained, they can help you because you know that they're there to help you. So you can push a little bit farther, right? So if you have those things in life, maybe a mentor, you're working toward this job and you don't think you can push that hard, but your mentor talks to you and be like, I know you can go farther. I know you can push, one more rep in life. I know you can do another set in life. And they can help you and show you that you're capable of more than you think you are yourself. And that's the same thing in the gym. The spotter can help you lift a little bit more, even though he's not touching the bar, just because mentally you push yourself there. And then it goes all the way back to that if you're realizing or you're seeing these things that are actually happening, that people are influencing your life and showing you that you yourself can do more, then eventually you will find that by yourself you can push more and more and more and more without this influence.
Exactly. But there is something I need to add here.
Of course.
When you have a mentor, it's amazing. He is like a crystal ball for you. He shows you what is available, what you can achieve if you stay on your path.
Yes.
Or what you can embody, what path you take. Does not really matter. He just shows you who you can become if you stay committed. But here's the thing. I experienced times in my life, I had a few mentors in my life, okay. And when I was with them, I was feeling empowered, strong, passionate. Then I went home, felt good about myself. The next day I woke up, I didn't feel good at all. I felt like I felt before, without the mentor, in my old state. So it's very important to differentiate between, is a mentor just inspiring you because of his charisma, his authenticity, or is he really helping you to push through, or not necessarily to push through? That's like more of the hardcore approach or stoic approach, to really break down your patterns and become a new person.
Yeah, really help define who you are. You're exactly right, because this person could be so inspirational that you're just inspired immediately and motivated by, like you said, their charisma. And that can have a huge impact on you. And that's why we talk about motivation a lot on this channel, because motivation is good. It's good to start. But maybe, that charismatic person, whoever that individual is getting you motivated and getting you excited, because of maybe they're hearing something very similar to what we're talking about right now, talking with intensity and passion. However, you go home and you wake up and you lose it. And then what do you do then? Not unless you have, like you said, a good mentor that truly helps you find yourself, dig down deep within you and figure out why the why is huge. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this?
A why and the drive and discipline. I mean, I would say discipline is even more important than motivation, because on some days I wake up and I'm super motivated. But you know this damn well. On some days you wake up and you don't want to stand up. You just want to lay in bed. You contemplate about your life. You're going through all those things which could go wrong. And that's okay. But do you have the discipline to still stand up? And now it's not about pushing through and hustling hard. Maybe it's not a good day. But now it's about taking care of yourself, realigning yourself with your purpose. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's a huge mistake I did in the past. When I felt really, really low, I still tried to push through, create a lot of YouTube videos, Instagram posts, inspire people, talk to people, coach people. But I realized my energy field, my charisma, I had a lack of passion because I wasn't feeling the way I'm trying to inspire people. Mm-hmm. So I think that these days you need to have the discipline to take care of yourself, to love yourself. Because true warriors, I always say spiritual warrior, true warriors love themselves enough so they take care of themselves, realign with their purpose, and then when it's time to go full beast mode, they don't hesitate. Yeah. They crush through the wall, but they wait patiently. You can't just plant a seed in a soil and rip it out and harvest your fruit if you didn't allow it to grow, if it didn't attract the minerals from the soil.
Yeah, you're completely right.
I mean, I'm using a lot of metaphors, but I love this metaphor.
No. Metaphors are amazing to, since the beginning of time, metaphors have been used perfectly to get points across, and you're absolutely nailing them, so please don't apologize. I completely understand what you're saying, and I
appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, you're phenomenal, and oh man, it's amazing what you're saying, and it keeps on going back to there's just so many aspects, or it takes so many things in your life, because that motivation is not always going to help you get up in the morning. But I truly believe, since the very first episode, I've been talking about passion, and passion will help you. Knowing what you really want to get out of your life will help you get up in the morning, will help you do whatever you want. It really will, because just like you talked about that mentor, that inspiration dying off, all of those things can wither away. They're important, yes, they're very important, but to be able to have your passion and attached to your goal, what you really want out of life, and after, as you're finding yourself, those things are a necessity to be able to pull you up out of times when you don't think you can get up and do what you really want to do.
And you asked about my story and how it became.
I'm very curious, yes.
So I'll share more about that. And actually, my story, there is just one word that really describes it. It's suffering. I suffered so intense. I will explain why. But I suffered so intense for several years that the only way was upwards. The only way was upwards. I fell into such a dark hole that I will share my story, then I will come back to this later. When I was 11 years old, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And my life changed so drastically because I had a nice childhood, nice parents, everything worked out. I was the king in the family, the youngest. It all worked out perfectly. But then suddenly everything broke down. I mean, I was very, very young. I didn't comprehend what was actually happening. But kids are smart. Yeah. They pick up vibes. They read energy. They feel. They're much more in tune with their emotional body than with their rational mind. So I felt all of it. It took my father 3 years. He battled the cancer. For some while it looked really good, but then he died. He died in my arms when I was 14 years old.
I'm so sorry.
And now to say something which will shock the audience, I guess, I will say I am grateful it happened, because it made me incredibly sad. It made my life so miserable. I fell into depression. I had developed neurotic thinking patterns, but it gave me the path of mastery, the path to truly love myself, align myself with my soul's calling, my mission in life, and to go out into this world and do what I truly love and really feel like doing. So it was a tragedy, it was a crisis, but my father left me an opportunity to really say the things I want to say, to be myself unapologetically. My father never told me that he loved me. He just said 1 second before his last breath. And that's important, because now I can be the same like him, or I can become a new version. I can see and look at this and say, this was hardcore, I suffered, but I'm not identifying with my suffering. I am bigger than that. I am greater than that. And that's how my life started. Years of suffering, and I pulled myself out of these depressed states. Well, and here I am, work with mentors, a Shaolin monk, other mentors as well, deep breathing, meditation. I'm not just saying meditate. Without meditation, I wouldn't be where I am today. So there's a big difference between somebody who lives the path, somebody who embodies the path, who integrated it in order to move out of his crisis, and somebody who lives a normal, let's say normal, ordinary life, 9-to-5 job, whatever, and just meditates for fun. I'm not trying to judge anybody here, but there's a big difference between somebody who's living it and somebody who's just scratching the surface.
I want to first say thank you for sharing that story. I know no matter how many times you talk about it, it's difficult to talk about. Loss of life is very, very, very difficult for many to talk about, of course, and to share on such a broad spectrum like we are doing right now. So thank you. However, you were able to come out of the ashes and become what you are now today. Yes. I don't know if everybody would be able to do that. Why do you think you were able to become the man you are today, how passionate and helping you are of others out of such tragedy? I think that some people, or I don't think that everybody would be able to maybe come out of it. You said yourself you were depressed. You know, of course you were sad, more sad than you probably ever think you could be. My mother had cancer as well when I was a child. Fortunately, you know, she's still with me today. However, like you said, I didn't know how to rationalize what was going on in my life, and it was very difficult for me at such a young age. So I know that had a little bit of etching of who I am today. But you said yourself, like you very strongly were depressed. You didn't know what to do, and your life wasn't aligned. And you were so young; you were only 14 years old. How did you come out of that? Like how? I mean, I know you came out of it, but you could have easily, I think, maybe stayed in the depths of that sorrow. How did you come out of that?
So that's an amazing question, my brother. The thing is, I know some people who experienced something like me, and they even fell deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's all about, for me, it's all about what really changed my life is that getting into the teachings of Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you know Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. It's a very good book.
I think it's on here somewhere. Here we go. Look, I'll show it to everybody.
You've read it?
I haven't finished it yet, but I do. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's not just what he's talking about. There's nothing new under the sun. So many teachings talk about this. He just wrote it perfectly in 1 or 2 books. The thing is, what made me understand that I am not the one who is suffering. I am just, at this point in my life, I was identifying with my suffering. Okay. Because that's the thing. We have emotions. I'm going to make this really basic and simple right now so people can understand what I'm saying. We have thoughts and emotions, but we are not those thoughts and emotions, because we can still respond to those thoughts and emotions.
Yes.
If I feel fear, I can ground myself and now operate from a place of love. So I am not necessarily fear. And it's even more understandable with thoughts. Because if you think a negative thought and you simply say, okay, but that's not me. I mean, that can happen. I don't pay too much attention what my mind says, because the mind says a lot of things. Especially if you went through crisis, there are patterns. Yeah. But the thing is, are you identified with this pattern? Do you think you are the failure? Because if you think you are the failure, you are the depressed person, if you think you are that, then you attract more of it. And it's becoming more difficult and more difficult because you actually think you came here to suffer.
Yeah. Yeah, if you think something into existence is very well that you'll attract more of it, just like you said, and it's going to continue and continue and continue. You're a wealth of phenomenal points, and to say something like, yes, you're going to feel sorrow and you're going to feel the tragedy and you're going to feel the depression, and these horrible thoughts are going to come into your head, and you can't control those more times, and they can come in, but how you come in or how you deal with those thoughts, how you react to those thoughts, and if you choose to accept those thoughts and dwell on those thoughts, I think is what really defines you. And I think that's what you're leading to, is what helped you get out of here. Is, yes, of course you felt all these terrible thoughts, but eventually you made a decision, and you found out that I don't have to dwell on these thoughts, and these thoughts aren't who defines me right now. And I think when you continue to think like that, then you slowly, work yourself out of that quicksand of depression, and you're able to come out of there.
Slow, but every progress counts. And slow progress, in my opinion, is sometimes even better, because if you progress too fast, you quickly lose your ground. You don't have a solid foundation. You don't know how to handle it. And that's what we see in the world. We see people, everybody wants instant gratification. Everybody wants a bunch of thousands of followers. But can you deal with that? Are you really ready for it? That's the question nobody asks, or I don't see a lot of people asking themselves this question. Am I ready to be that person? Because if I become that person, I want to live this person. I don't want to act or create an avatar or a mask or facade behind all that.
When you fall into that, I know this is probably a terrible example, and I was thinking, like, when you said, you see people, everybody is like, I want to win the lottery. That was like the first thing I thought of. People like, I want to win the lottery and I want all this money now. But then you always see those television shows where people win the lottery and they lose their money within a year. I mean, millions and millions of dollars. They're winding up in prison. They're winding up broke because they don't know how to deal with, or they don't know how to control themselves with the money. But the guy or the girl that spent 10, 15, 20 years building this empire, that earned it through sweat, blood, and tears, and they work their ass off to get this money, they know how to handle that money 20 years down the road, and they don't lose the millions of dollars. And I think that's the best metaphor that I can come up. My metaphors aren't as good as yours, but
it's amazing. It's an amazing metaphor. It's all about if you can integrate this metaphor. You can integrate this metaphor. Because in the end, what are metaphors for? You just want to explain it to somebody so that somebody can take this information and integrate it in their life. And I mean, there's another amazing metaphor I have from Elliot Hulse. Maybe you know Elliot Hulse. I'm not sure.
No.
This is a life-changing metaphor I always try to think of. Think of a bamboo plant. A bamboo plant takes up to 7 years to grow. So 6 years, no growth. You check the seed, there is nothing there. You get completely depressed if you want evidence, if you want to see the results. But in the 7th year, it grows within 1 year faster than almost all the other plants, and taller and higher. And that's a very interesting metaphor for somebody who has the patience and what you just described. Because all those years, the seed needed to attract all the minerals beneath the surface, what you can't see, but it's attracting all those things from there and there and there and there to grow. So it's a solid foundation. They own it. They can deal with the money now. They can deal with the fame now. They can deal with whatever arises because their foundation has so many roots. But if it happens instantly, the bamboo plant instantly grows, there are no roots which are protecting it. So a little storm comes and you are, can I swear in this podcast?
Have at it.
And you are simply fucked. If that storm hits you, you are fucked.
You said I'm going to love this metaphor, and I absolutely love this metaphor. And I'm going to have to repeat it to myself, because I tell you, even something as, I don't want to call this channel silly. I mean, you talk about passion. I'm very passionate about this channel. But even, like I've said, everybody that's heard me more than once has heard me, YouTube's very hard to build up, to have people. And I think I'm so strong, so passionate about what I'm, people, talking to people like you that are passionate about their lives and what they're trying to do. And I just want more people to hear it. And it's so hard to build that up within these mediums. And that's completely fine. But, hearing a metaphor like that, I truly do, like I can say it, 100% honesty, that I truly do, feel, and as the bamboo in this metaphor, I'm building a strong foundation, and thankfully and humbly, because of people like yourself.
Thank you. And I can really see that, because some people already interviewed me and it was amazing, but you're different, my brother. You asked the real questions, and it's all about the real questions. It's all about, I'm a person, I don't like small talk. I mean, what is small talk for? Why are we wasting our time?
Yeah.
I mean, time is an illusion, but the most precious thing we have is our time. And for me, it's just the fact, I don't live an easy life, and you don't live an easy life as well. And building yourself and creating these platforms and sharing your vulnerable state and sharing your goofy side as well, to be just real with people and not some hiding behind a mask, I'm the greatest, I'm the strongest. That's really tough. But on the other side of the spectrum, I mean, you can live with regret your entire life, or you can live with the fear. You can live with living with intense fear and still going is 10 times better than living with incredible regrets the last years of your life. Because of course you're afraid. You lived an ordinary life. You did ordinary things like everybody, like society told you so to do.
Exactly.
I always say society. I don't say society is the enemy. I don't want a black and white perspective. This is the enemy and we need to fight. No, we don't fight back. We be back. What I mean by that is we simply are. We embody our path, and that's our revenge. It's just forgiving everybody and being ourselves, because that's what people need, and not somebody else who fights against society.
Yeah, there's a lot of combative things like that. And I know, I believe you're coming to us from Austria, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm here in America. And in America right now in politics, we have a lot of left wing, we have a lot of right wing, and I'm always like, I can't stand that there's just, it has to be left or it has to be right. Why can't I, like you're saying, it doesn't need to be so combative. Why can't you have some thoughts from the left or thoughts from the right or in the middle? And I know that's like a political metaphor now, but it's applicable to many different things.
Exactly. And that's the thing, it's not black and white. Life is not black and white.
Nor it should be. It should never be like that. And that's exactly why I use that metaphor. And you're also talking about authenticity, being who you are, with no shame of what other people think about you, and just and doing what makes you happy, and after you've found yourself and you've lined yourself and you find out whatever it takes, and you go down that path, and you do it regardless of what people think. And I think another great point is it's not all black and it's not all white, and it's just it is what it is, and it's how you react to that.
There's something great I want to add here. Black and white. So people say you have won. Let's say you build a huge following, you earn your money through your passion. But now here comes the point. Are you really happy now? Are you now a different person? You might be the exact same person you were 10 years ago. But now it's up to the mental gains or soul gains. I refer to them as soul gains. Your body, okay, my body gets stronger, I get muscle, I get a six-pack. Amazing. But all that is worth nothing if I'm completely insecure deep within. People will feel that. They will feel that I just only compensate through my body, or through whatever people want to compensate through, with, for example, money or follower or fame, whatever. So for me, it's all about, can you really be that person? And When it all comes, are you still humble enough? And that's actually my biggest weakness, is to be humble, to stay grounded. That's the contradiction. I teach people how to stay grounded because I was so ungrounded myself. That's often how we come to our paths.
Yeah,
We
but it
see
also
any
helps
positive
probably
tries to
train you.
weakness.
Yeah, it probably helps train you yourself, because you're helping train other people this. So within, teaching people these things, you're also teaching yourself. And I couldn't agree more that humility, being humble with yourself, no matter where you are in life, if you're more of a novice in whatever you're doing, but even more so, the guy or the girl that is the best at what they're doing, literally better than everybody else, you name it, whatever, insert the subject here. That person that is humble and helps teach others continuously, that's the person that I truly think we should all strive to be. Because what kind of person does it take? Like, how many people can you think of just off the top of your head that are great at what they do and then they boast about it, or they flaunt it, or they don't help others, or whatever it is, have you?
So many people, most of the people are like that.
Yeah, but I think it takes it's a phenomenal individual that it takes to be able to have that humility that we speak of, to be the best they absolutely are, and then continue to be the best, and then be humble about it.
For me, it's about, for an example, you talk about people who get successful and now are arrogant, you call them pricks and assholes, and then you become successful. Are you really sure that you're not going to be like them? That's the thing I always ask myself, because why are you so sure of yourself? Why are you so sure of how you're going to react to a life situation you have never experienced before? And that's the thing. I think, like just as you said, the most difficult thing is to stay on your feet, to stay connected to your feet, to stay grounded, literally, and still keep doing what you do, still learn from people, listen to people. Because
I mean, think of how many times there's been like, a boxing champion or whoever, and then, they're not the champion anymore because maybe they're not training any harder, because they're like, I'm the best of the best and nobody can beat me. And then some guy comes along because he's working his way up and he's doing everything it takes to get up there, and then he knocks that guy off the top. So once you're the best, you have to continue to work to be the best. And I think a lot of people forget that. And you have to be humble at the same time.
And now it's all about rituals. Now it's all about practice and discipline. Because for me, that little story time, for me, when I created my ebook, I launched it 2 weeks ago, The Path of Self-Mastery, on my website. Man, this was a journey to create, of course, I hired somebody to do so, but to create my website, lorinkrenn.com, and everything, to put my ebook out there, to write it, to get a graphic designer, to really write what I truly feel. That was a huge process, really huge process. And I started it, I launched it, people bought it, and people experienced amazing results. And now everybody would think Lorin is going to be so happy. This guy has it all figured out now. Nah, man, I suffered. I literally suffered because I escalated. I took myself I thought I'm the biggest, the strongest, the best. I was completely attached to my ego, not humble at all. I was so like, yeah, this is it. I've got it figured out. And then what comes? If you identify with your ego, if you go down this path of I am the best, nothing can hit me, then life is going to hit you. The universe is going to teach you a lesson.
I think so. I think so. There's been a few times in my life, and I think what I've told myself consistently in the past few years is you need confidence, and you need confidence a lot in your life. You need confidence to get you through extremely difficult situations. It can get you through work, something that you don't, a project that you don't think you can do. It can get you through whatever, meditation or weightlifting you want to do, anything you want to do in your life. However, there is that line between confidence and arrogance. And that can sometimes be confusing for people on the outside. They may see somebody and they may interpret that confidence as arrogance. But I think a lot of times those people that interpret the confidence as arrogance don't necessarily have it defined for themselves. And and you or me, I would feel that I'm confident in a lot of things I do, but I am very careful to maintain that humility as I, progress through whatever journey it is that I am going through. Maybe somebody on the outside may portray that as arrogance, but I do work really hard. I'm almost extra cautious that I don't portray arrogance, because I think I can't stand when people come off like that.
Yeah, and it's all about, I mean, if you're arrogant, you're just hiding behind the mask. It's just a mask. Especially a lot of men deal with that. Yeah. So we men, we tend to wear masks. It's just the way it is, because we are also, what is very important to me is to redefine masculinity. And I'm reading all about the archetypes. I don't know if you have ever gotten into Carl Jung's work about the shadow side, the inner woman of a man. It's all about integrating the yin and yang. But what I'm trying to make clear here is that we as men, if we are not aligned with ourselves, if we don't love ourselves, we're easily getting off track. And then if this happens for years and years, we start to put on masks. And the problem is, these masks work. These avatars we create of ourselves work, because we are all great actors. We are all great actors. And people are going to put all their love, all their attention to this avatar and mask you created. Mm-hmm. But deep within, there's this metaphor of this little child in a cage or in a dark hole, completely insecure and afraid. But you're rigid, you're showing everybody how strong you are, you stand tall. So, yeah, arrogance is actually a lack of confidence. That's how I can...
It's interesting.
Yeah,
it's exactly funny how that works out. No, it is... I'd like to think a mask. You're right. That was a great way to say it. And I think that if you find out how to be confident without being arrogant, then it comes again with the authenticity. And again, every little thing that we discuss is tied together. And I think only if you truly have that, you've found yourself and you found your path, you're aligned, you have your authenticity, and then you're able to be confident in what you do, and you will be a better teacher to those around you.
Yes. And I think that it's just the most important thing is, our time is so limited here on Earth. Why spend it being arrogant? Why spend it trying to show off? Because we might inspire, we might not inspire at least, but we might impress some people, okay? Some other insecure people. But it's all about teaching and leaving something. I mean, I am very young, but I'm also saying this to leave something for the younger generation, to leave somebody for those who are younger than you and me, and who are looking up to us, but not necessarily trying to become us, who are just looking up to us and trying to learn from us. And if you're in an arrogant state, if you're just bold, be bold is important, but if you're just bold and you show off, you are teaching people the wrong things. And of course, some people like us see that immediately and they say, okay, nah, I'm not watching this. But other people don't see this. Other people think that's the way to go, because apparently everything works. You can also go to the gym and train and don't do full range of motion and train extremely bad with bad form, and you're still going to build muscles. I mean, that's
it's funny that you bring that up. You do see that a lot. So you can get results from doing things the wrong way, is what you're saying. It's there, but long term, especially with that example that you just gave, I think one could be very prone to getting injury from doing that long term. And I think you can use that exactly for life. You can get results in life if you do things the wrong way, maybe, but I think that over long term, it's either going to come back and bite you in the ass, or you're going to hurt yourself.
And that's also the thing, because we talked about adversity before. Adversity is always going to be there. There is never a point in our life where we can say, I made it. I made it. Because it's always about going deeper. It's always about growing and evolving. And growth is pain, because you need to go through uncomfortable situations in order to experience growth and evolvement. So adversity is always around the corner. And if you think you've got it figured out, it comes even stronger. There's even more adversity, because now you need to realign yourself with your purpose. But at least if you have this humility, what you just talked about, what we talked about, this respect towards other people, compassion about yourself, you don't think you're the greatest, but you are thinking or speaking highly about yourself, there's nothing wrong about that, then the adversity is still there, but it's way easier for you to understand the lesson. It's way easier for you to move out of the sandstorm in the desert and to look at the rising sun and say, finally, give me this quiet moment. I enjoy it in stillness, and then the next adversity comes, because that's how life is.
But doesn't that give you the sense of fulfillment when you combat? Well, we don't want to use the word combat. You know, when you face that adversity. You know, when you're met with adversity and you come through and you accomplish whatever you're set out to do, or whatever maybe you didn't set out to do, and that adversity just, you know, reared itself up in your face in life. But when you get through that, that sense of accomplishment, it helps define you and it makes you feel good, and it shows you, I think, that you can maybe get more or through more in life than you think you can. And it goes back to earlier when you were saying, like, it's the struggles and it's these hard times in life, the resistance that you meet in your life that help define you. And I think that when you realize that you can get through these struggles, you realize that you can pull yourself up out of this depression, you can get through more than you think you can get through. And then not only do these help define you, but maybe they give you even more fuel to be able to tackle even bigger things in your life that you didn't think you could get through earlier.
Exactly. That's just the truth. And like you said before, like 20 minutes ago, in the moment of pain and crisis, I mean, that's the hardest challenge, to say, okay, crisis is happening, my life is, I'm drowning here, I'm dying, but still looking for the rising sun, still being grateful. That's possible, but not always. Mm-hmm. But like I said before, later on, you will look back, like the thing that happened with my father, and you will say, I'm grateful. Because all these, I mean, recently I just watched a podcast by Aubrey Marcus. I don't know if you know Aubrey Marcus.
I do like Aubrey quite a bit, yeah.
Amazing. And very not just inspirational, he goes very deep, and I loved it. The same. And he talks about your highest self, or let's say your long-term results, don't care about how you feel right now. They don't give a shit about how you feel right now, because you need to go through this adversity and uncomfortable situations in order to achieve the results you truly desire for. Because what results do you want? The results that look good in the external world, or the results that you have all the resources you need, and the internal success, that you're happy, that you experience serenity, calmness, peace, instead of not being able to really deal with what you have right now, or what you're about to get or become.
It's quite interesting. So
yeah,
is this a lot of this stuff? What did you discuss in your ebook that you just released 2 weeks ago?
In my ebook, I talk about the path of self-mastery. For me, it's all about mastering yourself. You master yourself most importantly through rituals, through exercises, through going to the gym, through what you do right now. You interview people, you learn from them, they learn from you, you get something out of the conversation, you get those jams, you meditate. These are the most important things. But then the path of self-mastery also requires exactly the things we talked about. It all comes down to mastery, discipline, commitment, passion, drive, your why, how to stay committed. Why the path of mastery? Because it's so painful, it's so tough, is still, in my opinion, the best and most rewarding path. Because as we said before, the most uncomfortable roads are the roads which lead to the most beautiful destinations. Boom!
And that's completely true. I am now that I've had this conversation, and I say this so many times because I don't do research on the people that I'm having conversations with. So now I can go ahead and I can read your ebook, and I'm very excited to be able to read that, because not only have you been an amazing guest here, but your passion speaks through so much. And I would encourage anybody that if they enjoy this to get that ebook. I mean, I am very excited to do that. Is this the first book that you've written?
It's the first ebook I launched. There is more about to come, an audiobook also in different languages. But this is my first product I have.
Congratulations! Online. No, it's a phenomenal accomplishment. It's very difficult to do that. I've talked to a few people on here that have written books themselves, whether it be an actual book or an ebook, and they said it's a very challenging process, and you definitely find yourself along the way as you're creating that project as well. And I think it's very commendable, and for you to do it in such a manner, it reminds me of it sounds like you're sharing your journey a little bit and helping teach others. And I spoke with a friend of mine, Nate, in conversation number 8, a very, very upstanding guy who faced quite a bit of adversity himself, but just like you shared with all of us, and I'm very humbled to hear your story, he shares his story about his struggles, and he wrote a book about his struggles to help in hopes to help other people. So I think that's very commendable, to be able to not only go through one's journey and experience this adversity, experience the struggle, experience this stress and this depression, but not only to come out of it, but to be able to be like, this is who I am, this is what I went through, and then to show others, like I just said with your story, you shared it just so that in hopes that other people can learn and take away all of the good things and the bad things that you experienced, and that they can learn themselves. So what I'm saying is, in short, is for somebody like yourself, like Nate, to go through these hardships, go through this adversity, to rise out of it themselves, and then to be able to share that and teach others is very commendable. So I thank you for doing that yourself.
Thanks so much, so much. And the last thing I would like to say is, if I can say it,
of course,
you rise like a phoenix from the ashes. And all crises and all hardships are only meant to teach you a lesson, and for you to become your most authentic and strongest and loving version.
Yes.
And that's life. That's life.
That's life. What an amazing, phenomenal, and passionate conversation we've had. Very, very, very good. And
I enjoyed it.
Yes. I knew, go ahead.
Very rare that you meet people with which you can dive very deep and talk about the truth and essence about life. And so I'm really humbled right now.
Yes, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it a million more times. But this is one of the many reasons that I want to have these conversations. I think that people need to reach down, and maybe it's uncomfortable to have these such deep conversations on a level that maybe you're not comfortable with talking about, but that I think are absolutely a necessity for life, for growth, to better ourselves. So to be able to talk to you, were a stranger to me an hour ago, but now I feel this connection, and I call you a friend now, because I feel like you open up to somebody and you share these thoughts, and then you learn from each other. And I would love to be able to have this conversation or any other conversation that I've had or that I will have, to be able to excite somebody to go out and maybe have a conversation with their significant other or with their friend or with their parents. And maybe other people, maybe themselves, have gone through times like you've shared with us. And now they have a little bit of hope. You know, he can get through it. You know, there's a way for me to find it myself. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your passion. And I know you're not one that I have to say, continue what you're doing, because you're going to do it, you know, until your last breath.
From the heart, my brother.
Yes, very much so. How can people find your ebook? How can people find you on Instagram?
Well, it's super
What's the
easy.
best way? The website you said too.
It's all Lorin Krenn. LORINKRENN. Super easy. And my website, lorinkrenn.com. My Instagram, lorinkrenn.com. And not lorinkrenn.com. It's all Lorin Krenn everywhere. You can find me. But I'm mostly on Instagram. Instagram is my main platform because it's so phenomenal, and it really fits the way I inspire people and the way I approach life.
Yeah, it's very easy to see. Lorin, thank you so much for your time. I'm very humbled by our conversation. I know I have learned a substantial amount of information, and I know those listening and those watching have learned as well. I thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Have a good one.
You as well.